Hello everyone, the Honest Collector here to give you the truth on the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Brainiac action figure. And we're kind of at the end of the road. McFarlane's just pumping out a bunch of random stuff, so you might see like the Arkham Knight Deathstroke on here. It just depends. I'm just picking up random stuff. I might do some hype mods so I can fit my ongoing DC collection. So yeah, but Brainiac, I never minded being taller than like Superman or something like that. He is just like a non like human, like he's just in space and stuff. So putting him next, I mean, I guess I'm cheating and doing size comparisons already, but this was never crazy to me. This never bothered me or anything like that when it comes to someone like Brainiac. So I did decide to pick this guy up to use him in my stop motion, and I figured I would give him a review. With that being said, you can definitely sometimes kind of pick up that this is the end of the road for McFarlane, and they are not going out with a bang. They're kind of going out with a whimper. So this isn't my favorite design already for Brainiac, but let's just dive into the box, because this guy you'll see later. So Brainiac, DC Multiverse, I always liked how they did their packaging. Very fun, very loud, definitely not super like corporate-y, but then on the side you have dive into an ever-expanding world of 2,500 or 25,000 digital comics, and it's like, okay, that's an ad. On the back you get the same ad here too, and it's like, yeah, this is cool, I like this, but he also just doesn't look anything like this at all. So the colors are off, the proportions are off and everything, so that's nice, but we'll go into the card. So DC Classic Brainiac, not to get confused with any of the other ones. And then up top we have the 22 points of articulation right there, and then on the side, Brainiac, and that's it. So this comic was 10 cents back in my day, which was 2008. So going to this figure here, because, well, actually he does come with accessories. He comes with a DC display stand right here with the DC printed logo sideways, so it's more like this. And then he also comes with this is another one. He comes with a trading card here. This is the Super Duel in Space. I don't really like care anymore about this line. I actually used to be very passionate about this line. I put up a video a while ago saying how much we're going to miss McFarlane, and I feel like an absolute dumbass because I really just can't wait for Mattel to just take over already, because seeing how McFarlane cares about his DC, like his DC fans, his loyal fans, putting out that Batman, I think it's like Batman and Robin or Batman Forever, something like that, Catwoman, doing the battle damage one just to release the head sculpt to make it technically both figures, but people already bought the other one. So that is just so scummy to me, and they're just really kind of dying out here. But anyways, we have a trading card and we have a read up on the back, so if you want to read that, you can. However, that's all you get. You don't get any other hands. You don't get an evil monologuing hand or anything. You do get a trigger hand though. Guys, I can't wait to make Brainiac shoot Superman. I tell you, it's gonna be crazy. But anyways, he comes with one punching hand, so we're still doing this stuff, 5-6 years later. So anyways, going on to the actual figure itself, we've seen this body before, obviously different belt piece. I honestly don't know if that's reused or not, but everything is painted. There's no sculpted detail at all because this was already used for a bunch of other figures, and I think this was used for Nightwing. Is this like the one that they did the Jonathan Kent body? I believe so, because they always have these really loose rotator cup joints. But yeah, so he does have a collar, which is cool, I guess. It looks okay. It's definitely good for character representation. The best and most interesting and cool part is the head sculpt. Definitely because of this like paint thing here that they did. Like the way they did the paint was very nice, and that little thing around his head looks actually really, really good, and the paint is very nice and clean. But on the rest, it's all just molded plastic. I mean, we have paint here, which is fine, paint here, which is questionable. So honestly, it really depends. You're getting some scrapings and just some fuzziness, and it looks pretty bad. So that's not the best. He's going to be a shiny kind of guy. And the only time you're going to get more of a dull finish is because of the plastic that they use. These are two different plastics. And then something that I think is interesting, I don't know if this is just the molds wearing down, but this is loose, and just pop that right off. Super easy. Like, actually, I don't know how easy the legs will pop off. I'm not going to try that, but I'm definitely going to customize this figure because I do need a Brainiac in my collection for my movies, and unfortunately, this is the only one that's there without paying crazy prices for the Injustice one that looks way cooler. But yeah, so this is what I have to make do with. That's what I get for making my DC Universe way too late. But here we go. I mean, that's pretty much it to explain with this guy. All the rest is just there. So articulation, he's going to look up this far, which is not really great at all. You get a good amount of tilt. They've always been good on that. I'm going to have to mod this neck, though. So you have that, obviously, side to side. Arms are going to raise up a little above 90. Rotator cuff adjustment posing is going to be there. You're not going to get these arms anywhere near crossing each other. Double jointed elbows look hideous, but they do work. You're going to get that huge cut right there. Looks ridiculous, but it does function. It just looks like crap. Then you do get a worse looking wrist joint here, which looks like an actual pea, like the frozen peas, the food. And yeah, so this just looks really messy because they sculpted it for some reason. They didn't smooth it out at all, so that looks ridiculous. His wrist is completely broken, but you are going to get the swivel as well from the actual hinge and from the little peg hole here. So that's cool. I guess it works. Torso, not going to lean forward really at all. Leans back more, which is ridiculous. Side to side is good. It's decent. Not bad, but definitely not going to be crunching forward, though. We never need that. And then the legs, no real thigh cut here. They did not care to cut anything so that way it can move. Without flexing the diaper, you're going to be able to kick it up this far, but if you really want to push it that far, which still is not impressive and causes some stretching, so that's not really great. I'm sorry if I have such a negative attitude. It's just I want to show why this line doesn't really mean anything to me anymore. And it's because when they release figures like this, it's hard for me to care or feel invested like it's a passion project. It just feels like they're pumping out stuff for us to buy because they need to make money, which I'm going to turn this into something completely different. So boom, but like I'm going to give this figure a crappy rating because I shouldn't have to. It's almost out of necessity that when I get this figure, I'm going to have to make it look better because there's no way I can put this on my shelf or in my videos. So that is something that is unfortunate, and it ultimately does cost more money to do. Ankles right here are going to swivel. You're going to have a hinge right here, or yeah, like a ball hinge, and they're not going to line up correctly, the ratchets, so you're either going to have too leaned back or too far forward. So you're going to have to maybe move this really inverted and weird leg shape like that to get it to kind of stand on its own and a little more properly, so that sucks. And then of course you are going to get your toe articulation, which is really good, and then your ankle pivot as well, which it is an ankle pivot. We've seen it before, but it is nice. Doing the splits, oh nope, not full splits, but damn near full splits. That's wonderful. And yeah, that's going to be it with all the articulation. So oh my goodness, I forgot. Bicep swivel. He does have a bicep swivel, and it does work like a bicep swivel, which actually is impressive for McFarlane because they've screwed that up. So with all of that being said, now we go on to the size comparisons. Here's how he stands next to DC Multiverse Black Adam from McFarlane Toys and the Mafex Bane. Here's how he stands next to my Marvel Legends Wonder Woman style Power Princess figure and the Mafex Nightfall Batman. And here's how he stands next to the Mafex Superman from Dark Knight Returns. Okay, so bringing it out, I actually stand corrected. This is not on the Jonathan Kent body, but it is on one of the other bodies that I know they also did reuse so many times. I'm going to try and guess again and say that it was the Flashpoint Flash that also used this body mold. Thanks, Lex Luthor. But anyway, here he stands next to the Power Suit Lex Luthor from the New 52, and also next to the Teen Titans Nightwing, which this figure is amazing. This figure is okay, but definitely did some upgrades to it before I got the Mafex one. Here he stands next to the DC Multiverse McFarlane Detective Comics Batman and the DC Multiverse Gold Label of Action Comics Superman. And also here he stands next to the DC Multiverse McFarlane Standard Edition 2025 Superman. And last but not least, here he stands next to the Jack Specific Sonic the Hedgehog 3 Sonic figure. So what are my final thoughts on this figure? It's a figure. It definitely works okay. I mean, I'm not going to want to get Brainiac in the deepest poses, but I want him to actually fight Superman. But this figure is okay, and it does not have any accessories, so I'm just going to give it a 5 out of 10 because there's barely enough sculpt work to make it really new. The articulation is okay at best, and there's no accessories with this figure. So, and it's, you know, what, like $25? So to me, I can't. Or I think it's $26.99 or 20 something like that. But yeah, so unfortunately, I can't really give this figure too high of a rating. It just feels uninspired. So I'm just going to leave it at a 5 out of 10, and that's going to be it for this video. I'm sorry if this video wasn't as entertaining or exciting or like, some of the other ones, but I do just have to be honest here. It is my name. It isn't my name. It's what I do. So yeah, unfortunately, not the best, but that's going to be it. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you've enjoyed, please give this video a like. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications so I can give you the truth on the next figure. Thank you guys so much again. Spread peace, love, and please be greater together, y'all. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.